You're an emotional fucking podcast. Your podcast is dog shit. Every single fucking thing about your podcast is ugly. Bad Santa is coming up next.
Haven't Seen It with Tim Sestito and Tommy Tevenet. Hello, everybody. Welcome on in and a merry ho 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 to you. Tommy, welcome on in as we have watched Bad Santa. Tommy, I feel like you've been dying to do this one since we started the podcast because we started the podcast 2 years ago now.
Yeah, we started a
Um,
podcast around this time 2 years ago, and we were throwing around Christmas movies that like neither of us have seen. And like I was just like really Googling Christmas movies. I was like, I've never seen Bad Santa. And you're like, oh no, we're not doing fucking Bad Santa. So we did Home Alone 2 and Scrooge. Scrooge, yeah,
this is in the Scrooge tier of Christmas movies, in my opinion.
yeah. So you're not I like this one. Were you kind of mid on it or
By the we'll get into it more. The beginning is so bleak, man.
yeah.
The beginning of that makes you like question life itself, and you're just like, oh my God. Like
Yeah.
it's funny at points. There's some funny lines in this one, but oh man, is Willie a hard character to root for.
Yeah. Oh, seriously. It's pretty fucking brutal.
It's like brutal. Like a screenwriting 101 is usually like don't make your character completely unlikable, and they just went all in on making him unlikable. But we will dive into that more in just a couple
Yeah.
minutes here. Tommy, I kind of want to kick off what have we seen lately because I did mention on our last one because we had our guest from the Film Trace podcast. If you haven't checked that out with Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, go ahead and listen to it. Um, but with that one, I mentioned that I saw Napoleon
Yeah.
and just said I didn't really care for it. And I, but we that section was going on way too long as it was, so I just kind of left it at
Now,
that.
now now you need to expand like how much you fucking hate this
I
movie.
I I, I didn't I didn't hate it.
Okay.
It kind of similar to Bad Santa. It took a while for Napoleon to get its like footing in the door.
Mhm.
And Napoleon's an interesting historical figure in and of itself because he's not like particularly likable.
Mhm.
Um, but Napoleon in the historical feature, he was Corsican royalty, so it's like an island off of like the coast of Italy in the Mediterranean. So he was viewed as like lower royalty in France and had to like really work hard to like build his grounding up.
Mhm.
And kind of got the people on his side that way. And I feel like that was the big thing for me in that first act that the peop that was missing because like the whole thing was about him and Josephine's relationship, which huge part of Napoleon's story, without question, his relationship with Josephine. But like the and like kind of true to it, they didn't really have that much chemistry at the beginning of it. It was kind of like typical courting of the
Awkward
time.
and shit. Yeah.
Yeah, and it felt awkward, and I think that was the intention of it. But I needed something to like make Napoleon um more likable. Like once he puts the crown on his head, like the movie kind of kicks into a much better
Yeah.
gear, and I enjoyed it more from that point on. But that was like 45 minutes in, and it's two
But
and a
so
half hour.
what
It's two and a
what
half hours long, and when you're
was this a case of like you probably should have cut down some like fucking footage right here? Because like when we talked about Killers of the Flower Moon earlier this year, and like I didn't care. I the what's it called? Runtime did not affect me whatsoever. I felt fine, but like I feel like with
I
Napoleon, I've heard
think
the
this one it
complaint.
needed more. It probably needs like the director's cut will probably be better than the
That's a Ridley
theatrical
Scott
release.
typical fucking thing, like Kingdom of
Y-
Heaven, Blade
Yeah.
Runner. He always is like, oh, let me go to the director's cut.
Well, Blade Runner is a weird one. That one took like four director's cuts to get right.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I just really didn't care for the first act at all, and it just like bugged me. I mean, the battle scenes are really cool, like the costumes and production was like fantastic. Um,
Where
I
would it
did
rank on your overall Ridley ranking? Like in the middle, you'd say, or
some
bottom?
middle bottom. I'd probably give it like a 2.5 out of 5. Like
Damn,
kind of your run of the mill movie, like nothing
damn.
too special for me.
Yeah.
Um, Like honestly, not even enough for me to want to watch like an extra hour of the movie added on. Like I didn't think
You're good on the Apple Plus, whatever it is, like extended cut.
like I want to watch the 4 hour cut of Killers of the Flower Moon, but I don't have any interest in the 3.5 hour cut of Napoleon. I don't have that one in me, I don't think. The battle sequences were great. And the movie does pick steam once he becomes like Emperor of France. But it really the Napoleon story is so big as it is, and it jumps around so much. And like I know a little bit about the history, not a ton, but I know a little bit about it, and I don't know, like I feel like a Napoleon like you would need like a Napoleon trilogy to
Oh,
like
are you one of
actually.
those like you need to be historically
No,
accurate,
no,
Mr.
no,
Scott?
no. I'm not saying that. I'm saying like I think the depth of the subject like would just require more films, if that makes sense. Like it would have needed at least two parts, maybe even three, to kind of cover his whole story to the level of detail that you could absolutely do in a film. And I just think this one, it just kind of too many time jumps in there with you not really know what's going on. Yeah, I didn't really care for Napoleon, and I just a little disappointed because I was excited for it coming out, and I knew the reviews were mixed, and I held reserved judgment until I saw it. And I just like the first act really like I always say a movie can lose you a little bit in the second act as long as it pulls its weight in the third act. Like the
But
beginning and the end of the movie, the most important parts. Like you can lose me a little bit there in the middle. Um,
but in the beginning, yeah, this is brutal.
like you gotta hook me in so that way I like inevitably get a little bit disinterested in your story if it's just a little messy in the middle.
Hmm.
Um, And yeah, I just felt like Napoleon didn't have that.
Yeah, I've heard just mid things about it, to say the least.
What about you, Tommy? What have you watched this week?
Um, so yeah, this over the weekend, I want to shout out again the people from Connecticut Cult Classics. They did a triple feature of three Italian movies by Lucio Fulci. Um, it was City of the Living Dead and House by the Cemetery, and I can say that I was awake for two out of three of them because the third one started at 10 p.m. I passed out immediately.
Why, what, let me ask you, at this point in your life, why are you booking up triple features where you know you're wasting money and you
Oh
know you're going to
well,
fall asleep during them?
I was there. I was there for. I made it all the way through for the double feature. I got watched both of the movies. Beyond and City of Living Dead were the first two movies, and made it through both of them. Beyond is amazing. The Italian horror movies in general just have just like a great, just like visual palette to it, and just like very haunting, like nightmarish imagery. Whereas the acting and everything else in those movies are just like whatever. But the effects and just it's a visual onslaught. I feel like, especially that era. Um, but by the time you get to 10:30 at night and then you're watching a movie and for me personally, I drank some coffee, did not help.
I
But
don't, yeah, I don't understand you, man. Like if I drink a coffee past 2 o'clock in the afternoon, I'm wired all night. Um, and you're just like, yeah, I had a coffee at 9 o'clock and I still couldn't even stay awake. I'm like, God bless your caffeine tolerance, because I couldn't do that
yeah,
even if I wanted to. So you enjoyed two out of the three, and the third's kind of like a TBD because you just didn't watch any of it.
I read it on Letterbox, but even my Letterbox review, I opened up saying just like, yeah, I was like passed out for like 90% of this movie.
I'm
So
really glad you left a review. That was very helpful for
I
people who wanted
I
to maybe watch it or not. Well, I slept through 90% of it.
yeah, I give a middle of the pack review. I was like, what I saw, I liked.
The 10% of it I really enjoyed.
Uh, Exactly.
The 10% of it I caught. I love. I actually maybe my favorite movie yet. Maybe my favorite 10% of a
Could
movie I've ever seen.
could
I don't
be.
know.
Yeah, you gotta see how the other half is.
Got to see how the other 90% is. Well, I'm glad you enjoyed your film festival, Tommy. And now we cover maybe Tommy's most anticipated movie he's ever put up, suggested to this podcast. Since
First
it's
time
been two
watch.
years, since it's been 2 years of him suggesting it, like he suggested it last holiday season. Don't you get me wrong. It's I knew it was coming. I knew he was going to be like
Yeah.
Bad Santa
The
this year, and we just couldn't work out It's a Wonderful Life Redux. So now we're doing Bad Santa.
the exact
This
opposite kind of movie.
they're very similar.
Yeah.
This is Bad Santa.
This holiday season, everyone is talking about
I'm on my lunch break, okay?
Oh, no.
the funniest comedy of the year.
Aside from that,
You probably shouldn't be digging in your...
Bad Santa is achingly funny,
got some lip on you, Mitchell.
These lips were on your wife
astonishingly irreverent.
last night.
A man's a sexual being.
It's a must-see film for anyone who loves to laugh.
Love large women. Can't do squat about that, Jack.
Bad Santa, rated R, now play.
So this is Bad Santa, Billy Bob Thornton.
Mhm.
It really is the modern equivalent to kind of where the similarities end for between It's a Wonderful Life and Bad Santa, I would say. Tommy, so this has been hyped up for you. You've been hyping this up for 2 years. What were
Mhm.
your main takeaways after finally diving deep into the Bad Santa?
So this is a movie that like I felt like got played on Comedy Central like all the fucking time back in the day when we were in like fucking like elementary school and middle school. So I did catch like bits and pieces of this over the year, mostly like towards the end. And like stuff with a kid. I expected this to be like some like laugh out loud comedy. Instead, this was just kind of like in some ways just kind of psychologically like traumatizing of a movie where he's just like screaming at this fucking kid and the kid is just like
Taking it.
so happy go lucky and taking it and just like it's just kind of just like extremely dark. I was shocked to find out we'll dive into this a little bit deeper, but the Coen brothers have actually like a big hand to play in this fucking movie.
Yeah, I saw they produced it, and I saw that they have uncredited screenwriting,
Well,
written by credits as well.
yeah, essentially like the Coen brothers approached the screenwriters John Requa and Glenn Ficarra. Basically they're just like, hey, like we have this idea for a movie we want you to write. It's about a bad Santa, you know. He drinks and beer and stuff, you know. You see Bad News Bears, make it like that, but Santa, Bad News Santa, or Bad Santa. And that was essentially where the movie just took shape from there. They wanted to write it for James Gandolfini, which I think would have been fucking hilarious if he was in the role.
Yeah,
um,
yeah, I don't know. I think this Billy Bob Thornton was just born to play.
it was good too, but you know, some other people are considered they're courting Jack Nicholson at the time. That would have been fucking hilarious movie in its own right. You know, hey.
He would have hated everything about it. He wouldn't have given a
Yeah.
fuck about that production.
And then the last two were Robert De Niro. He was going to do it apparently, and then they heard
Yeah.
Sean Penn was considered and Nicolas Cage. I think Robert De Niro would have been fun, but I don't know, maybe a little too dark. Apparently, you know, this is a whole article I read in like Times Square, New York Times from 2016 when Bad News or Bad Santa 2 came out, which forgot that movie existed.
Yeah, that popped up after I finished it on Paramount.
Yeah,
And I was
It's
like, oh, there's a sequel?
I'm not watching that one. But you know, this movie apparently was like, you know, shopped around town. Everyone passed on it because people just thought it was like awful, disgusting. And this is a quote from Weinstein. This article came out a year before the whole Weinstein scandal broke, where Weinstein said it was the most foul, disgusting, misogynistic, anti-Christmas, anti-children thing we could imagine. That's exactly why I bought it. You read that quote tonight, it's like, holy shit. But yeah, this movie is just very dark. I mean, I remember I saw a Reddit post earlier this week talking about how when you watch the director's cut of this movie, which I think we both watched the theatrical cut, I'm assuming. Apparently, if you watch the director's cut of this movie, it takes the shape of just like a very dark and depressing and just like what you're talking about in the first 20 minutes, apparently the director's cut is just extended, where it just becomes just like this is not funny at all. This is just like sad.
Yeah, so if you've never seen Bad Santa, um, Willie T. Soak, is played by Billy Bob Thornton. They are professional thieves, and they dress up as mall Santas and elf. Marcus is a little person, if you will. They actually debate in the movie what they like to be called. So, this movie was progressive for actually sparking that debate across the United States.
Mhm.
Don't fact check me on that one. I'm quite literally making it up. And
Yeah,
and they basically on Christmas Eve every year they just rob the vault at a mall. But Willie is not super committed to his job, and he has some narration. It's not too a narr. I was worried at the beginning where there was going to be if there was going to be a ton of narration, but by around the 10-minute mark, the narration was gone. Um, where Willie's vulgarity towards the children, his excessive drinking, impedes on his ability to crack the crack the safe.
Mhm.
Um, and Willie's like, "No, this year I'm gonna get sober. I'm gonna go to Miami. I'm gonna buy a bar." And then, like, this is where the humor is like dark and clever. Like, it cuts to Miami a few months later, and you see Willie behind a tiki bar on the beach. You're just like,
Mhm.
well, we're 10 minutes in. I'm gonna assume he doesn't own the bar yet. And of course, he gets chased out by Brian Callen, because he was just stealing his own drink from the bar. And then Marcus calls, and he has to go to Arizona this year to rob the mall. And this is the hardest one of the year for him because he's getting closer and closer to his own personal finish line of ending it all. But bumping into the kid, this fat little boy who doesn't really have any friends, and just taking advantage of his living situation because his mother, I think, was dead. That was what it was implied, and his dad was in prison and
Yeah.
living with his senile grandmother. Uh, he basically just took advantage of this kid who thought he was Santa. And that's kind of the main gist of the movie. From there and his deterioration at work, we see him pee his pants as Santa.
One thing I find hilarious when you look up the trivia for this movie is the first thing in the trivia is Louis saying Billy Bob Thornton was actually intoxicated during some scenes in this movie. Like
Yeah,
when he was filming, it's like, yeah, you can see it. Especially he says, especially the scene where he walks in and he like passes out and like falls over all the shit
oh,
and stuff like that. Billy Bob Thornton was like, yeah, like I was legitimately fucking hammered, and we're like, yeah, it fucking shows. And that scene in particular was it. This movie straddles the line. Sometimes I feel like that it doesn't always handle well of being genuinely fucking hilarious and like like you said, Bad News Bears way, where it's like, oh my god, look at this train wreck. And other ways where it's just like, I'm legitimately concerned for everyone in the situation right now.
yeah, everything. It's like it's an uncomfortable situation,
Mm.
but it's so realistic that you're just like, oh my God, like how is this guy even holding a job? Like he he takes a woman into the plus sized uh changing room, and he takes a woman in there and gets caught by the manager who is played by
John Ritter, his last movie ever.
His last movie, and I think he might have died during the production of it because like he's in the first 20 minutes of the movie and then he's kind of gone for the rest of the movie, and then Bernie Mac kind of takes the centerfold there as the security chief. Um,
He
and
died on September 11th, 2003, so like 2 months before this movie came out.
2 months before this movie came out. Yeah. I mean, I thought he was great as like kind of like the stuck up
They kind of,
mall
yeah,
manager.
the guy who's just like kind of a little bit of a cuck. I mean, no better way to explain it.
Yeah, just a little bit of the corporate world has beaten him down, and
Yeah.
he's at the point that he just it's like the scene in Horrible Bosses where he's like, what haircut do you like? I'm looking for the haircut where I have a prick of a boss. I have two ungrateful kids at home and a wife who uh who hates me, and I'm just counting down the days until I put a shotgun on his mouth, and then it like cuts to the guy behind him, and he's like, this is the cut you're thinking of right here.
Mm.
That scene, which I believe is from Horrible Bosses, but back me up if I'm wrong there. And yeah, I don't the first 20 minutes of this movie is legitimately depressing.
Mm.
And
Yeah, and literally, I'm reading right now that like the director's cut just keeps up that way. That was their intentional vision. Apparently, like the Weinsteins like told the director, his name is Terry Ziegloff. They told him like, yeah, you got to line up the movie a little bit, and he pretty much refused. So Todd Phillips came in, the guy from The Hangover, Old
yeah,
School, Joker. He
Joker.
ended up shooting some like new scenes, like the scene where like they're boxing and like teaching the kid how to box. That was all
Yeah.
Todd Phillips. That was like a little lighthearted, like comedic scene, which I think worked. But I feel like the movie is, yeah, like I said, torn between the way of like wanting to go full dark comedy and being like, oh, let's be broad. And I feel like that's like the Weinstein influence right there of them just meddling with the film a little bit.
I don't think it has like I don't think the movie has a tonal problem. I think it has like um I think it just has a protagonist problem. Like there's nothing redeemable about Willie, and it's really hard to get invested and root for him. Like he's a thief. Okay,
Mm.
like I can live with like, you know, an antagonist protagonist, right? Like a bad dude, Brock. But then he just like there's just nothing redeemable about him. He's a drunk who just takes advantage of people. He just lives day to
He
day.
screams at the kid. I mean, yeah, like there's no like real heart of gold with him. Even in the movie, I mean, like it's just like I guess he eventually ends up with the kid and stuff like that, and like teaches the kid like how to fight.
How to stand up for himself from the bullies.
Yeah, and he has somewhat of an earned family, but this is a movie that in some ways was kind of ruined by its sequel because the sequel immediately opens apparently with Billy Bob Thornton being like, "There's no such thing as a happy ending," and he's back to like square one. It's the
Well, of
sequel
course,
problem. So
what are you going to do for a sequel of Bad Santa 15 years later?
yeah, yeah. So it just essentially just like this character is just a depressing one. It
Yeah,
never fucking happens.
and he has his relationship with Lauren Graham's character, who's the bartender, who I guess has a thing for men in Santa Claus. But outside of that, I like it just felt like they needed to have some kind of like love interest for him in the story because she doesn't really do anything in the movie.
That being said, I did think she was fucking hilarious in the movie,
I
just
thought she
every
was
time.
funny. I just like her character just kind of didn't serve any purpose. And
Yeah,
again, it's this likability thing where I'm just like, what does she see in this guy other than he has a Santa hat? Like you can find a guy that'll wear a Santa hat for you, you know?
yeah.
Um,
Um, so what do you think about Tony Cox? I think that I mean, this obviously wasn't his first movie. I mean, he was in Beetlejuice and like, has been definitely around the scenes like of Willow. He was like an Ewok back then they Return of the Jedi.
yeah, you cut out there a little bit, but I thought he was great. I actually thought all the performances were really good. Like it's a well acted movie, it's a well performed movie. I really didn't have any issues with that side of things. Again, it was just like the tone of the movie, um, in terms of like it being a Christmas movie. And I'll quote my favorite Christmas movie or source my, you can have a depressing uh action there, something about depression and battling that and do it really well and tastefully. And this just it just like misses the mark, like where George Bailey's character, you find all these reasons to root for him and invest in him, and then kind of see why he spirals out of control. And then with but yeah, I thought Joseph Anthony Cox was good. Like again, it wasn't a performance thing. Like I really enjoyed the kid.
Mm.
I thought he Brett Kelly, he doesn't have a ton of work outside of this. I saw he does come back for Bad Santa 2 at some point.
Apparently one of the jokes in the movie is like, oh, like you're so weird as a fucking kid. He's like a virgin or something. It's like, okay.
Yeah, again, it's like, oh, you're a vert. It's like, well, he's like
I
7.
Yeah, I do think Tony Cox just has just amazing one-liners in this movie. He's the comedic energy. I mean,
He's the heart of the movie.
Yeah. Apparently the original version of this movie was going to be developed with Danny Woodburn. He was the guy from Seinfeld that was like the elf of Kramer in that episode where Kramer gets
Yeah,
into fuck communism, which you could have seen a little good fit here. But I feel like Tony Cox just makes this movie a little funnier because he definitely ad-libbed some fucking lines before. Like, he ad-libbed the line of Billy Bob Thornton be like, "Hey, you probably shouldn't be scratching your ass right there, man."
yeah. Like there's like little lines all over the movie that are like that. Um, and there's moments where I like legitimately laughed. Like, you know, Willie in his drunken stupor takes the kid's advent calendar, wakes up the next day, realizes it and like repairs it, but like puts like a candy corn and like a tab of Advil behind like each of the days, and I'm like, that's like clever. That's like the funny things right there. I just again really didn't care for this movie at all. Like,
You're just like, oh god, was this your first watch too?
yeah,
Yeah. So I expected, because it was on Comedy Central so much, I expected this to be much more in the vein of like Billy Bob Thornton's Bad News Bears remake of just which I
yeah,
remember being like very, very comedic and like very like,
funny and like
hilarious. And I didn't expect essentially a tragic comedy. In a way of like, this character can't get behind himself because like even the end of the movie, I mean, like, it's not shocking the sequel picks up like 15 years later and he's like, yeah, I fucked that all up.
yeah.
This you don't get the sense that this character like really is fully redeemed by the end of the movie. At
No,
least
he
I felt.
his redemption, quote unquote, is misremembering which color elephant the kid wants. And then as the police show up during the bank robbery and Tony Cox, Marcus, turning on him and about to kill him, being like, "No, I got to make sure the kid gets his elephant," and running after it, running out the door. I mean, this movie clearly was popular. Like it had a $23 million budget. It made 76.5 million. Like that's pretty decent sized
It
budget
did have good
there.
stars. I mean, like we did. Bernie Mac, I thought was good in this movie, especially that one scene of him just dressing down the shoplifting kid.
Oh,
Like that was
that was
that was
funny, yeah.
that was the scene of just like let's just let Bernie Mac cook for 5 minutes. Like
Or when he's getting a pedicure at the thing and
yeah,
he's like, no, put the no, don't skimp out on me here. I can take it. Like you can rub into it. Like I can take it. I'm a man here. Like, or when
yeah.
he goes to the jail to visit the dad in prison, being like, "Do you have any house guests?" And they're like,
He's like, what?
"Yeah," and then he's like, "Cool, got it." Walks away, but then he comes to them being like, "I got you guys pegged. You guys are robbers. I want half." And it's like that comedic back and forth, like half, half, half.
The
And
thing
then the
was
next
that was a good scene, but like almost immediately after he gets
he gets
fucking written out
killed.
of the movie. I mean,
Yeah,
like
he
they
gets
should have let it play a little bit longer, let it breathe a little bit more.
yeah, Marcus kills him because Marcus, I guess, decides that like he's just done with this crew of people, and wants to keep the whole score for himself. And I get why you'd want to take out Willie because he's just so unreliable. But Bernie Mac's character, it just felt like they could have done something more clever with him in the chase sequence, or having him like flip on them and alarm the police. You know what I mean? Like after he gets the money. Like I felt like there's something more clever they could have done with him instead of like Marcus stalking him, stopping him for a jump on the car, and then just having his wife ram him with the car, and then we just find out from a line of audio he's dead.
Yeah, it was a very quick jump cut. I mean, like it should have had something just more comedic. I mean, the problem sometimes with dark comedies is just like you can't really. Some people just don't straddle the line really well, and like this movie felt like it was kind of neutered in a way that wanted to go a little bit harder but couldn't. So maybe that like could be something in the director's cut, but I mean, like with like movies like Death to Smoochie or something like that, where
Yeah.
this definitely reminded me of Death to Smoochie in some ways in terms of like trying to get that by. But I feel like that was a little bit more successful in straddling the line of a dark comedy.
Yeah, Death to Smoochie, like I felt is like a perfect dark comedy. Where this
Mm.
one, it just bummed me out after, and I wanted to take like a cold shower
Yeah.
after and like let the water run down on my face.
Mm.
I am a star. I'm a star, I'm a star, I'm a star. I am a big, bright, shining star.
So Tommy, who is the star of this movie? Who gave the best performance? Like,
Can we even call Billy Bob Thornton a performance? Because I feel like it was method acting. Like, hey, I'm just gonna get trashed on set, and like we'll just film what happens, like almost like a jackass type of way.
yeah, kind of like almost in a jackass kind of way. Yeah, I think it's Billy Bob Thornton. We get most of his perspective, but I'd say it's kind of a bit of an ensemble. Like everybody kind of carries their weight here,
Mhm.
in terms of performance. And then, you know, for a kid, Brett Kelly, I think, captures the heart and soul of this movie, or whatever there
I
can
feel
be of it. Because
I
if you
feel like
didn't have
because
the
he's
kid, if you didn't have the kid, this movie would be almost unwatchable.
yeah, I mean, like he's like pretty much the fact that he's just so innocent and like so willing to take all the stuff. Like you do legitimately feel bad when like Billy Bob Thornton is fucking screaming at him, but because the kid's not breaking down and crying or anything like that, it doesn't become uncomfortable. Like I've seen in some horror movies over the years.
Yeah,
There's a version of this where apparently they wanted like the kid from Two and a Half Men, and that no, that kid's like too fucking sassy and just been like that would have been
yeah.
sad.
This kid plays the brick wall of just like there's clear like all of his lines. There's just like a close up of him, and there's just somebody behind the camera with like his dialogue written on giant uh
Yeah,
giant cardboard slides, just like having it there,
yeah.
like you just know that's how they filmed him. And I think it works for the movie, but I'd probably say it's Billy Bob Thornton. He gives a good performance. It's just not this movie's just not my cup of tea. What about you, Tommy? Who's your favorite
Uh,
performance?
I would definitely say it's probably Billy Bob Thornton. The only other contender would be Tony Cox. I think in terms of comedic, Tony Cox I feel like carries it. I mean, I just think that him just dressing down Billy Bob Thornton all the time, and just the fact that he's just like giving him fucking shit while he's just drunk as fuck, just like ad-libbing shit. He had, I think, the most memorable comedic presence in this movie. Um, but yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Ah, are you ready, comedy partner? Waka waka.
All right, Tommy, would Bad Santa, maybe the most depressing movie we've covered on this podcast, uh, work as a Muppet adaptation?
I feel like they would have to make it like a very comedic adaptation. It would be more so like, I mean,
More slapsticky.
first of all, I feel like it would be like who would play the Billy Bob Thornton role? It'd
Well,
probably
you'd keep
be.
Billy Bob Thornton and
I was
everybody
gonna
else
say
would be
Rolf the
Muppet.
dog would be fucking Billy Bob Thornton. It's just Rolf the dog just fucked up and just falling down all over the place. That would be amazing right there. Uh, or you have Fozzie in the role.
Yeah, you could do one of the two. But yeah, I would not make this recommendation to the Walt Disney Company. So Tommy, review time. Give me your score out of 5.
I think this is a dark comedy that was kind of torn between like the two tones in a way. I feel like it wanted to be very darker and just almost like a character study and like a taxi driver kind of way or something like that. And another way, I feel like this movie just wanted to be like a stupid, outrageous comedy. And those two tones clash without, and it ended up leaving a jarring film that isn't really hilarious and isn't a great drama. So I'm gonna go 2.5 out of 5. There's some comedic moments, some good dramatic moments, but like seeing just Billy Bob Thornton screaming at a kid isn't always the most hilarious things, especially when the kid's just a brick wall, and that just makes it feel more uncomfortable because it's like, oh, this kid's just getting abused and gets shut down.
Yeah, I'm gonna give this a 1.5 out of 5. I really did not like this movie going through, and by the time it got okay, um, where the edits kind of came in to try to like lighten it up, it felt like I was already disinterested and uninvested in Willie as a character. Like there's humorous moments in it. And it's like it's cool that there's just like an anti-Christmas Christmas movie, if you will, in
Mm.
terms of like the themes and spirits of like holidays movies. This does not contain any of them, but it's very depressing and it's not a good enough drama to carry that kind of depression, like that depressed feeling. Like I think of something like Her, which is like that's a fairly sad film as a drama, and I feel like it, just encapsulates sadness in a different light. Um, I also just have a thing in movies where I really don't love when the character's just a drunk and that's just the excuse for bad behavior all the time. Like I think it's lazy writing. Um,
Damn.
yeah,
Timmy coming against the drunk asshole genre.
I just I never want to watch this movie again. So that's Bad Santa for me and Tommy. Tommy,
Emphasis on the bad.
emphasis on the bad. Uh, any final thoughts before we wrap up this episode?
Well, thank you guys so much for listening. You can follow us on social media. That's at See It Pod on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and occasionally the threads. In case you got mentioned that in. And yeah, leave us a 5-star review, Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcast. Really helps out the show, helps us grow out. And next week we're diving into the world of Tim Burton again. I think the third or fourth time on this year alone.
You love Tim Burton, man.
Yeah, I do. And we're covering The Nightmare Before Christmas, a movie he did not direct. But stick around for that. That'll be coming out. I believe
We're gonna try to do a Christmas Eve drop for it, just for your road travel, so you have something fun to listen to in the car as you sit in traffic to get to your holiday festivities. So thank you all so much for listening. We will see you next week.